So back in the early 2000s, Master Replicas, which no longer exists, anyway, they were making these .45 scale lightsaber replicas. They made quite a few of them back in the day. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose of that and sort of the appeal of that. So the first thing that you've got to look at with the .45 scale lightsabers is the price. So even nowadays, the price point on these scale replicas is pretty attractive. So a lot of these lightsabers, I mean, depending on condition and like the scarcity of the item or like convention exclusive, whatever, these will range in price online, at least as of now, from like generally around 40 bucks up to like 100, 150 for some of the more rare models. So, but that's still a pretty accessible price for quite a few people. I mean, you might have to save up in some cases for that, but it's not like some of the full-scale replicas that they have, even at the time, were pretty pricey, you know, several $100s or more. And nowadays, some of those are pretty rare, and they can go, well, they can go pretty high. So that's not quite as accessible to most of us compared to where the kind of upper tier of these .45 scale ones these days will go for maybe 100, 150. So that's one of the first reasons I would say that these existed. Another reason is there's something just about miniature things that's attractive to people. I mean, you can even look at that to like miniature poodles, you know, or certain smaller dogs. That's a little bit of a tangent maybe, but to bring it back to Star Wars, remember Micro Machines way back when? Those little tiny scales, well, they weren't to scale, I'm sure, but you could get like a little teeny tiny Death Star about this size, and the little figures were about that size, so you could kind of reenact an entire battle in about this amount of space. So there's just some appeal about, there's something, you know, really appealing about smaller versions of things. So I think these kind of scale replicas are tapping into that too. Another reason is, think about if you're a kid and you got one of these. So first of all, you know, it is that kind of more affordable price point, so somebody is possibly more likely to get it for their child to begin with. Second of all, as a kid receiving this is almost more your size. You know, kids have smaller hands. Some really young kids, man, it would be like, you know, this would be like the size of a lightsaber that they would hold. Although I don't know, you know, there's probably like an age recommendation on the box here somewhere. You shouldn't give it to really young kids, and it's not really a toy. I don't see anything, but yeah, don't give this to babies or anything. That's a bad thing to do. But yeah, I know if I had gotten this as a kid, I would have thought it was like the coolest thing, and I'm sure I wouldn't have like opened the box, because I think with some of these, I thought there's maybe, I don't remember anymore, I bought this one used, but I thought there was like a plastic thing around here so you could at least look at it and kind of, you know, drool over the lightsaber without actually opening the package. So I probably would have been that type of kid had I gotten one of these as a child. But it's also kind of another reason for the existence of these .45 scale replicas. I'm sure it's also intended to be sort of a gateway to their higher end products, since if you kind of get your foot in the door, get someone spending 50 bucks or so on one of these, and if they really like it, they might say, hey, you know, I'm going to spend a few $100s more and get one of the full size ones. Or you could even, you know, you might get this Anakin Skywalker replica, the .45 scale, and then you might say, hey, I want to have the full size one to sit next to it, which I don't have, but you know, just to show the scale, here's an Ultra Sabers lightsaber. You could just have them side by side. But yeah, I think those are the top reasons I was going to cover. So those are just some of the reasons that I think that these .45 scale replicas exist. And well, You can fit more of them on your shelf. That would be a benefit. You could have a whole collection of like 10 or so of them, and it wouldn't take up that much space. That's always one of the benefits of miniature things. Like back to my mention of the old Micro Machines toys of the 90s. So yeah, but you can't really, wear this on your belt, or people wouldn't take you seriously. They'll be like, what happened? That lightsaber is not the size, not the full size, so you can't use it with your costume. But maybe a kid could, as long as they get a miniature CoverTech clip to go with this miniature CoverTech wheel. Then maybe a kid could use this with their costume. But yeah, rambling as always. Those are just some of my thoughts about the existence of the .45 scale lightsaber replicas by Master Replicas.